The music stopped mid-beat when she stumbled. For a split second, the entire ballroom held its breath, the glittering chandeliers, the polished marble floor, the perfectly dressed guests frozen in their seats. Her foot dragged awkwardly, her balance faltered, and the faint sound of a crutch tapping the ground echoed louder than the orchestra ever had. A few people looked away, uncomfortable. Others whispered, and near the back, a man in a janitor's uniform instinctively took a step forward, then stopped, as if he had no right to enter that world. If you believe every story hides a lesson, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Stories, because what happens next might stay with you longer than you expect. The ballroom was drenched in gold light, a place built for elegance and perfection. Flowing gowns brushed the floor like whispers, polished shoes glided effortlessly, and laughter sparkled in the air. It was the kind of place where flaws were hidden and imperfections didn't belong. And yet, right there in the center, stood a girl who couldn't quite keep up with the rhythm. She wasn't dressed like the others. Her simple cream dress was beautiful, but modest compared to the shimmering gowns around her. One of her legs moved differently, slower, hesitant, as if each step required negotiation. But her eyes were alive, bright, determined, refusing to shrink. She had been watching the dancers for a long time, holding her breath with every spin they took. And when she finally gathered the courage to step forward, to ask someone, anyone, to dance, the answers had come in polite smiles and quiet refusals. Gentle excuses, averted gazes, until her eyes landed on him. At the far end of the room stood a man who didn't belong to the evening's fantasy. His white shirt was slightly wrinkled, sleeves rolled up, a faint mark of cleaning solution still visible near his cuff. His hands were rough, his posture careful, like someone used to staying unnoticed. A single dad, though no one here knew that. A janitor, though everyone could tell. Their worlds should never have touched. And yet, she walked toward him. Every step she took felt heavier than the last, not because of her leg, but because of the stairs. The whispers followed her like shadows. But she didn't stop. She reached him, tilted her head slightly, and extended her hand. For a moment, he didn't move. His heart pounded in a way he hadn't felt in years, not since the hospital room, not since the day everything had been taken from him. He had learned to survive quietly after that, to work, to care for his child, to stay invisible. This world of music and light wasn't meant for someone like him. But her hand remained there. Not demanding, not desperate, just hopeful. Something in that hope broke through the walls he had built around himself. He glanced at the floor, at his worn shoes, then at her unsteady stance, and finally into her eyes. And in them, he didn't see pity or expectation. He saw a simple question. So he took her hand. The music resumed, softer this time, like it understood the fragility of the moment. At first, their movements were uncertain. His steps were cautious, hers uneven. But slowly, something shifted. He adjusted to her rhythm, not forcing her to match his. She followed his lead, trusting him without fear. They began to move, not perfectly, but beautifully. He guided her gently, his grip firm but kind, never once making her feel like she was being helped. And she smiled in a way that made the entire room fade away. A real smile, the kind that doesn't ask for permission to exist. People stopped whispering. They started watching, because what they were seeing wasn't just a dance. It was something raw, something honest. Two people, both carrying invisible burdens, finding a moment of light in each other's presence. And in the background, a woman stood still, elegant, composed, watching everything with eyes that had seen too much and trusted too little. She had spent a lifetime building empires, commanding respect, shaping the world around her. But in that moment, none of that mattered. Because the girl dancing in the center of the room was her daughter. And the man holding her hand was a stranger. A janitor. Someone the world would overlook without a second thought. But he hadn't overlooked her. He hadn't turned away. He hadn't offered excuses. He hadn't seen her as fragile or different or inconvenient. He had simply seen her. And that changed everything. The music swelled, and for a brief, fleeting moment, the girl forgot her limitations. She spun, slightly off balance, yes, but laughing, alive, radiant. And he caught her, steadying her without making it obvious, like it was just part of the dance. The room erupted into applause. Not out of politeness, but because something real had touched them. The kind of moment you can't fake. The kind that reminds you what it means to be human. Before the story ends, take a second and tell me in the comments, What did you feel in this moment? The dance slowed, then stopped. Their hands lingered for just a second longer before parting. She looked at him like he had given her something priceless. And maybe he had, not perfection, but dignity, not sympathy, but respect. As he stepped back into the shadows where he thought he belonged, he didn't notice the woman approaching him. He didn't know his life was about to change. He didn't know that someone with the power to alter his world had just witnessed the simplest, purest act of kindness. He only knew that, for the first time in a long time, he had felt seen too. And maybe that was enough. If this story made you feel something, anything at all, don't scroll away quietly. Like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Stories. Because sometimes, the smallest moments carry the deepest meaning.